What's up, everybody? This is Kerry. In this video, I'm going to give you my best bets for Super Wildcard Weekend. Now, looking back at the first 18 weeks of the regular season here, we finished 66.58, 53.23% win rate, and plus 3.73 units. Now, I did a little bit better when you consider week 15. That's the week I did not post a video, but I did make these bets based on these trends. And I finished at 69.59, 53.91%, and earned 5.34 units. So overall, a successful, profitable season following these trends and placing bets on the trends. So a very quick Week 18 recap. I know that the playoffs are upon us now, so who cares about the regular season now? But here we go. Trend number one, divisional road teams with losses home favorites in Game 1 cover spread in Game 2. This trend did not do so well in Week 18. It did finish at a positive rate for the entire season, but it was 1-2 in Week 18. Trend number two are games with totals in one of these five numbers that go under. And this one actually did really well, went 3-1. This was also a very positive, profitable trend throughout the entire season. So we'll come back to this one again next year. So let's get to it. Super Wild Card Weekend best bets. I'm real excited about this. I spent a lot of time looking at the data, watching and listening and reading some articles to try to figure out what trends we can find for Wild Card Weekend. And I think I found one here that's very good and very strong. In fact, I'm going to bet all 6 games on the spread based on this one trend. Trends for Wild Card Weekend. So teams with higher strength of schedule and a stronger strength of victories that cover the spread from 2015 to 2022. This is at 63.16%. And in 4 of the 8 seasons, that season hit rate doesn't sound great, but when you look at the recent trends here, and from 2020 to 2022, the last 3 seasons, is actually hit a really high rate. And I'm going to come back to this and discuss it in a little more detail here in a second. The other trend that I read a lot about were games that go under their totals, no matter what the total lines are. And this is at 55.26% over these last 8 seasons, but only 4 of those 8 seasons was above the 52.4% threshold. And recently, in recent years, this has only hit at 33%, and in fact, did not go above the 52.4% in any of the last 3 years. So this is a trend I'm not going to follow. In fact, if anything, the opposite of that is betting the overs for these totals. That might be the new trend. I've shown these kind of charts before, but look at this here on the far right-hand side. The last 4 seasons, 3 out of 4, 3 out of 6, 4 out of 6, 5 out of 6. Now, I do think that the new format here, where only the number 1 seed gets a bye and seeds 2 through 7 have to play each other, we went from 4 wild card games to 6. I do think because that's a significant shift here in number of teams that play and who plays who, that this is actually maybe something that has changed some of these trends. But the last 3 years in a row here, 3, 4, and 5 out of 6. So that is at 12 out of 18 or 67%. I really like this one. In fact, I'm going to make this my trend for each of the 6 games. You'll see who we pick here in a second. The other trend here is games that go under the totals. And again, it looks really strong here. If you look at the first 5 seasons here, really strong. And when we just had the 4-game format, but recently, the last 3 years, not good. In fact, there are a lot of overs recently. So one more time, I'm not going to actually bet the totals for the wild card weekend. But if I were to bet a total, I would more likely go over, except for maybe that Kansas City game or any of those games where they have really bad weather. Those are probably going to go under. Here's a chart. Now, I love charts, and anyone who watches my channel knows that I like to show the charts. I mean, we're basing all these picks based on data and trends within the data. And we look at this here. There's very few charts you're going to see during wildcard weekend, I bet, that have the Pittsburgh Steelers at the top here. At the top of this chart, so here it is. The strength of schedule means the overall win percentage of all the opponents against that team. And the strength of victories is the overall win percentage of just the victories, just the wins that these teams had in 2023. So we add those 2 things together and we get something that is right around 1.0, 0.9, and so on. So the 1.11 belongs to the Steelers. They have the highest. So Cleveland at 1.05. Now check this out. Pittsburgh and Cleveland are top 2. Why is that? Because they play in the AFC North, where they have all 4 teams with winning records and the best record of all NFL in the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens and the 49ers are not on this chart here. I might add that for the next round when they do play. So whatever you might have thought about the Steelers early on in the year, whatever people might have said, they actually had a toughest schedule, and they actually achieve more given their schedule than any other team. On the flip side here, let's look at the Dallas Cowboys. Certainly not picking on any teams here. A lot of people talk about how they beat teams by wide margins, and that's true, but typically those are lesser teams, weaker teams. And in fact, they had the lowest strength of schedule of any of the teams, and their strength of victories, except for a couple of teams, were against also weaker opponents here. So using this particular metric here, strength of schedule plus strength of victories, we're going to put these two together to find spread picks. Here are the picks. Browns -2.5 at the Texans, the Chiefs -4 at the Dolphins, Steelers +10.0 at the Bills, the Packers +7.5 at the Cowboys, the Rams +3.5 at the Lions. Now I think that line is down to 3 now, and the Eagles -3 at the Buccaneers. Those are my 6 spread picks. In fact, those are all my picks for Wild Card Weekend. And there's a lot of narratives here behind all these games. There's a lot of really great games here. And let me say one particular narrative. One of the really strong trends that you'll hear this weekend is about quarterbacks who are making their first appearance in playoffs. Of course, that includes the rookie quarterback. So we have C.J. Stroud here with the Texans, Tua at the Dolphins, and we have Mason Rudolph with the Steelers and Jordan Love with the Packers. Well, I'm not picking against that trend against these two teams. In fact, I'm picking the opposite team. But I am picking a trend over here with the Steelers and the Packers. And let me just say this one thing here. What are the 2 most important positions on an NFL team? In my opinion, number 1 is the quarterback. And then number 2, not very far behind, is the head coach. I know that's not an actual skill position there, but it obviously matters. So when we look at these particular teams here, Texans have a rookie quarterback and a rookie head coach. Not a lot of playoff experience as in those 2 positions, obviously. So I'm going to pick the Browns. In fact, I could see the Browns really beating maybe the Texans by double digits here. The Dolphins, now Mike McDaniel is a pretty awesome head coach, but, him and Tua, they're really banged up. So I could see the Chiefs covering the spread here, especially in the cold, frigid Kansas City weather. And then the Steelers here, we got Mike Tomlin. I mean, who's got more playoff experience on this list than Mike Tomlin? I don't know any other coach here. And the Packers, we have Matt LaFleur. So another great playoff tested coach here. So even though these 2 quarterbacks are the first time, they're not rookie quarterbacks and their head coaches definitely have a lot of playoff experience. But I like the trend I have up here, higher strength of schedule plus the strength of victories. Add those 2 together and pick that team to cover the spread. And notice here that 5 of these 6 are road teams. That's also a trend here that's also very consistent, is that the road team tends to cover the spread in the wild card weekend. I'm really looking forward to the Super Wild Card Weekend. In fact, this trend is very strong. I can't wait to see how it plays out during Wild Card Weekend, and I can't wait to watch these games. Each of these games, except for maybe that Monday night game, have really interesting matchups. So, as always, good luck, have fun, let's go.